for Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Not a bad resume. After a few years in private practice, Mr. Heitens rejoined the Justice Department as an assistant to the Solicitor General. Most recently, he was Solicitor General for the Commonwealth of Virginia. He is a distinguished academic, taught at Cornell Law School, joined the faculty at UVA Law School, co-directed the Supreme Court Litigation Clinic. Mr. Heitens has personally argued 10 cases before the U.S. Supreme Court. There aren't many people who can say that. And handled the briefing in more than 50 other cases before the court. And the breadth of these cases is impressive. With such credentials, it's not surprising he enjoys the strong support of Senators Kaine and Warner. He's been unanimously rated well qualified by the American Bar Association, and his nomination is supported by leaders in the legal community, including former Republican Solicitors General under President George W. Bush. He's a dedicated public servant. I'll be voting for him, and I hope my colleagues will join me. On another matter, this weekend saw the happy return of a tradition in many neighborhoods. Last night, my senatorial assignment was to be at the front door of my home in Springfield, Illinois, and pass out candy to the trick-or-treaters. And after a year off because of COVID, Halloween was back. We had at least 80, maybe 100 kids show up. And they were all having a great time, as we all remember in our own youth. What a difference vaccines can make. Slowly but surely, we are putting this pandemic behind us. And after a difficult year plus of remote learning, kids are going back to school across America. 3 days ago, we received some long-awaited news that will enable parents to breathe another sigh of relief and allow children to be safely vaccinated. The FDA authorized Pfizer vaccinations for kids between ages 5 and 11. While it's true that healthy children generally are at lower risk from this virus, they are not immune, and testing had to take place, and it has taken place. And the new lower dose COVID vaccine can protect our kids and grandkids, I might add. And I want to do everything I can to make sure that happens. I usually tell the story which dates me, but I know the reality of my impression on those who are watching. I've been around a few years, and I can remember in the 1950s when we were scared to death of polio, and along came Jonas Salk, God bless his memory, with a new vaccine, and we all lined up, rolled up our sleeves, and got a shot, and there wasn't a question asked. We saw the ravages of polio, the iron lungs and crippled children, and some who lost their lives. And we did what we should do. We followed our parents' guidance, got the vaccinations. We virtually eliminated polio in America as a result of it. We've got to do the same thing when it comes to COVID for children. The new COVID vaccine for young children is just the latest proof that President Biden's leadership and efforts are working. Not one Republican, I might add, not one, could see their way to vote for President Biden's American Rescue Plan. It was that same rescue plan which set up a program across America to administer vaccines. Where would we be today if we're still struggling to do that? I want to thank the Biden administration for that leadership. We're starting to see good results despite the Delta variant, and I think that we can see at least the possibility of putting this pandemic behind us. And I hope more people will get vaccinated so that that will happen sooner rather than later. Every week, I've noticed that some of our Republican colleagues, including their leader, come to this floor to propose undercutting common sense vaccine policies that exist to protect our nation. These senators, to my knowledge, have all been vaccinated. And yet, when it comes to the mistruths and distortions about vaccinations, they're strangely silent, and I think we know why. Apparently, they think pitting Americans against each other is good politics, but it may be good politics one day and bad public health for a long time. It's corrosive to our public spirit. America is strongest when we are united. We'll no doubt hear our Republican colleagues cheer on the small minority of police and firefighters in cities like New York and Chicago who continue to refuse to get vaccinated, despite mandates. Here is a number that we should keep in mind. Those of us who say, and I count myself as one, that we respect law enforcement and want them to be strong and safe. Last year, 5 times more law enforcement officers died of COVID than died of gun violence. Let me repeat that. Last year, 5 times more policemen died of COVID than died from gun violence. COVID is the #1 killer of law enforcement officers in America today. And so when we talk about being on the side of the police and you want to save their lives, I sure do. I want them to be safe on the job, but I also want them to be vaccinated so that they don't succumb to the illnesses that follow when they're not. If you care about police safety, if you really care about police safety, put this pandemic behind us once and for all and get vaccinated. And at least speak up when people decide on Fox TV and others to peddle this anti-vax quackery that we see too often. On a related matter, Madam President, when I listen to our Republican colleagues rail on the economy, I'm reminded of that old saying attributed to H.L. Mencken, that for every complex problem, there's an answer that's simply easy and wrong. 4 years ago, Republicans used the Senate's reconciliation rules to pass the Trump tax cuts. They didn't get a single Democratic vote. Why? Because those tax cuts benefited the wealthiest people in America and the most profitable corporations. So did it cost us anything? Did we make money on that as a nation? It cost us $1.9 trillion over 10 years. That was Republican reconciliation 4 years ago. That's more than President Biden is now proposing for his entire slate of programs to ease the financial squeeze on working families and create millions of good jobs and protect our nation from the dangers of climate change. All the wailing and gnashing of teeth we're hearing from Republicans about deficits and debt, where in the heck were they during the Trump years when the debt went up 36%? They were all voting for it. Of course, now that President Biden's on board, they're really deficit hawks. They've changed overnight. Well, we should have heard them during the Trump years if they are sincere and honest. Our Republican colleagues moan on and on about inflation. All Americans are concerned about that. The senator from Kentucky pointed out the reality. I filled my truck up with gas over the weekend. It is more expensive. What's causing all that? Well, part of it is we have no control over that price. The OPEC nations and others are determining what the price levels will be. And other things are part of it as well. Yes, heating bills are going to go up this winter. When I talk to the people in the natural gas industry, they talk about the problems that they had. When the economy slumped during the pandemic, the production of natural gas went down, the storage of it went down, and the price went up. And that's what we're paying for today. So the pandemic itself has had an impact on our economy, which we cannot and should not ignore. The pandemic closed down the global economy and sent demand for many products soaring. Getting back to normal is just going to take some time, and it will take thoughtful action, not political potshots. To our Republican friends, if you're really concerned about the economic strain on middle-class working families, you've got an opportunity to prove it this week. President Biden's Build Back Better agenda is moving forward. A vote to give 35 million families enhanced child tax credits will help them meet the cost of living. It'll save them hundreds, maybe thousands of dollars a year. A vote for good, free, early childhood education for every kid in America will put hundreds of thousands of dollars more back in the hands of parents. And unlike the Trump tax cuts, the Build Back Better agenda is paid for. That's right, we pay for it. We're not adding to the deficit, and no one earning less than $400,000 a year will face higher taxes. And then there's the issue of climate change. I'm joining a group that hopes we can go to Scotland, to Glasgow, for this climate conference that the president's attending today. We hope that a group, bipartisan group and delegation from the Senate can go at the end of this week, and I'm looking forward to that possibility. We're paying so much money out, almost on a weekly basis, for weather-related disasters. Hurricane Ida this year cost us $100 billion in damage. One storm cost roughly twice as much as we propose to spend the whole year in reducing the harm of climate change for all of America. We need to work together to create a win for the American people and for our planet, and wouldn't it be nice if it were bipartisan for a change? And let me say a word about Senator McConnell's comments. I sit here and wonder, what can he say next? Well, today he took the cake. Apparently he was suggesting that we have a plan to give every undocumented person in America, was it $1 million or $500,000? It is laughable to hear that kind of suggestion. Remember when the caravans were bringing thousands and thousands and it didn't happen? Now, there is some notion by the senator from Kentucky that Joe Biden has a plan to give every undocumented person $1 million. I mean, you would say to yourself, did you keep a straight face when you said that? Apparently he did, and I would just tell you, the plans that I've been supporting would put these people to work in America paying taxes, paying their fair share of taxes. And that is important if we want to get this economy straight and get the workers that we need back on the job. So I would suggest to the senator from Kentucky, $1 million, an undocumented person in America. I think you've gone a little bit beyond the pale with that comment. I yield the floor. I yield the floor.